Hello, and welcome to the 151st episode of Movie and TV Talk. On this episode, I'm going to be discussing and giving my thoughts on Tron Ares. Let's jump into the grid. This movie begins in an odd way with this holographic flowing bunch of news stories that tells us a few things. The first is that Sam Flynn, protagonist of 2010's Tron Legacy, stepped down as CEO for NCOM for personal reasons. The second is that two sisters took his position, but one passed away and the other is just kind of out there trying to find the movie's MacGuffin, the permanence code. Yes, that's the thing that this whole movie is built upon. See, you have the bad guy corporation, Dillinger Systems, and they've been at it with NCOM for 40 years. Basically, they built a thing where they can 3D print programs and vehicles from their server, the Dillinger Grid, into the real world. The problem is that these things can only last 29 minutes, so the fight is over something called the permanence code, like I said. Our main character and title of the movie, Ares, is essentially Pinocchio. He is the master control of the Dillinger Grid, but after getting a taste of the real world, Ares decides that he wants the code so he can be in the real world for NCOM lady that found it, because Ares realized that Dillinger Systems is the bad guy corporation and are not good, and that NCOM is good because they want to help people and not be about weapons and stuff. So, Ares turns on the bad guys and helps the good guys, and at the end, gains the permanence code and gets to live in the real world. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. This movie has a lot of things to say that doesn't really make sense to me. The first is that, yes, the Dillinger guy is trying to sell the military on the idea of being able to 3D print Tron people for use against an enemy would be a wonderful idea because they're just programs and they don't feel anything at all. But that's definitely not true, because anytime any of the Tron people de-res, whether it was IRL or in the grid, they scream their heads off. Also, Ares, who has been brought back in the grid plenty of times, seems to remember what happens with each visit to the real world. Dillinger doesn't seem to realize that these are not just emotionless robots because they're Tron people inside the grid. The second thing is that when Dillinger uses Ares and the other woman to go after NCOM lady, there's so much that just feels wrong here. They have this bike chase with the Tron people using their light cycles and just riding through a city with the energy line just casually on, riding through a city at night with traffic without any consideration for other vehicles on the road. You're telling me that wouldn't immediately raise some eyes? Yeah, they show after this chase some footage of news sources reporting on it, but wouldn't the military see this and, I don't know, roll out some tanks or something? An unknown entity is causing chaos in the city and they don't do anything here? Also, as a small note, regardless of the time limit thing, Dillinger Systems' ability to just build and print as many Tron people in the real world basically gives them their own private army. And I'm pretty sure that would go against, or there would be some legalities surrounding that. Also, to go with that, at the end of the bike chase, Ares and the other women start to de-res because they're out of time. So then one of Dillinger's own guys flies in on a helicopter and uses a portable Tron laser to beam NCOM lady into the Dillinger Grid to not only be questioned about where the permanence code is, but to get it out of her at the risk of killing her. So not only does Dillinger have his own private army he can print to the real world at a moment's notice, but a way to basically imprison people from the real world inside the grid? Yeah, that would totally be legal. The third thing is that I don't really understand how Dillinger thought it would be a good idea to tell his Tron people to get the permanence code no matter the cost, then gets pissed at them for killing his own mom later in the movie, that to the Tron people, she was impeding their mission. Like, what kind of moron is this guy? He basically gave an AI permission to do whatever it wants for the sake of the mission, even if a few people die. Like, how did you think that was going to end? The fourth thing is that in the final fight of the movie, Ares' second in command, that got made Master Control since Ares went rogue, decided to print one of the big ships to help her find Encom Lady. So now there's a massive recognizer ship just flying around the city, and what does anybody do? The military sends 2 F-22 jets in, which promptly get destroyed, do enough damage to the ship that it gets grounded. But seriously, a massive ship that you don't know what it is hostile, and that's all they send. 2 jets. Where are the tanks and the troops? This is the U.S. military we're talking about. We'd respond in kind, if not with overkill. I hate to say it, but the plot is a huge letdown. Like, once the Dillinger guy makes the comment about Ares and the other Tron people being 100% expendable, I knew what was going to happen, and it is exactly what happens here. It takes basically nothing to push Ares over the edge of, no, I am not 100% expendable, and I want to be in the real world. He sees these photos of Encom Lady's life as he's locating her for Dillinger, and that's it. That is the small push that Ares needed to decide that he wants to be a real person. The stuff in the original grid was cool, but pretty much not necessary if you ask me, as you got a whole 10 minutes of OG grid, and that was it. It was not even necessary for hologram Ghost of Flynn to be there, because Ares didn't recognize who he was, and Jeff Bridges didn't really do anything to help Ares besides giving him the permanence code, which is weird that he had it. It's not hard to say that the strengths of Tron Ares, and subsequently all the Tron movies, is in the visuals and the music. The previous movie, Tron Legacy, gave us this wonderful score by Daft Punk, a mix of sweeping orchestral music and pumping EDM music. But for this movie, they decided to get 9 Inch Nails to do the music, and now, that's not a bad thing in my mind. I actually enjoy 9 Inch Nails music. I listened to the soundtrack to this movie plenty of times before the movie even came out, but after seeing the movie, I have come to the conclusion that industrial rock isn't the kind of soundscape that fits a Tron movie. Sure, they've got a little bit of that electronic sound in there, and they do well at recreating the original Tron music for those parts, but overall, it just doesn't fit to me. There's a part during the light watercraft chase where there's all this heavy, distorted guitar riffs, and it just feels out of place to me. I hate to say it, but this movie needed a soundtrack in the style of Tron Legacy. Even if Daft Punk themselves couldn't do it, I'm sure you could find another EDM artist to do it. All in all, this is the movie that we have, and all this movie really has left is good visuals, and yes, they are really good. I suppose one can't expect much from a Tron movie. Shame that this movie underperformed so badly that Disney themselves is shelving the Tron franchise for a very long time. Tron Ares is an average movie, but an entertaining one that I can recommend. That's going to do it for this episode, so if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.